Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ola Olukoyede, says underdevelopment would be a thing of the past if every citizen sees corruption as a common enemy. Olukoyede said Nigerians condemn corruption yet rally behind corrupt leaders when they are being prosecuted. He said this while receiving officials of the Center for Crisis Communication led by Chris Olukolade in Abuja. He stated that the EFCC will partner to raise public awareness on its activities and the importance of integrity among Nigerians. To discuss this, we're joined by the former National Coordinator, Middle Belt Patriots, Zariyi Yusuf, for this. Thank you so much, Mr. Yusuf, for joining us on the news.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here.
Okay, so how do you see the statement credited to the EFCC chief? Is it bitter truth or maybe passing the buck?
It's hypocrisy, basically. Well, not to him as a person, but as an organization, the EFCC. I think the person he replaced, we know how it went down. And when you speak about the EFCC, I think the problem began when it ceased basically to be a professional body and became maybe a hunt dog or something. Now, yes, it is true that the kind of leadership in a country is reflective of the people of that country. And what basically is characteristic of those we tend to refer to as elites, stealing government funds, stealing government money. Now, in the fight against that, the EFCC has made a renown to itself, especially during the time of Buhari, where a criminal is a criminal, but I mean, the moment you are baptized into the APC, you become a saint. And the EFCC watched. So it's more or less they clamp down on those who they feel like clamping down on. So what the people are doing is, why is it our thief that is called a thief? Why not theirs? And all of that. So yes, a country stricken by poverty, deliberately so, the poverty weaponized, the poverty made such that whatever it is that looks like anything that could supply bread, groundnut, a little sugar to soak gari with is welcomed by the masses. Once you create that scenario, and the tendency is that the very thief that steals from the resources that should feed the community, but has a habit of sharing peanuts to the community of the members, when the government rises to deal with that thief, the members of that community, especially being made habitual beggars, will definitely think you have come to rid them of what seems to be their only hope. So I do not think the EFCC is in the right position basically to criticize Nigeria, much as it is bad to support corrupt leaders. So it's just an unfortunate culture. And
yeah, I just wanted to ask if your submission now means that you are aligning with the thoughts of some people who have said that the so-called solidarity for corrupt leaders, even as the EFCC boss has highlighted, is financially induced and staged, and probably not a true reflection of the disposition of a larger society towards corrupt persons.
That's right. Nigeria, every Nigerian, yourself inclusive, has a certain default trauma in him. Now, let me put it to you this way. We are much aware that these people are corrupt, but basically what do? They steal enough, they own houses, they try to own the things they didn't have. Basically, these corrupt leaders, these people who steal money, they are not different from the masses. The only difference between them is that they have access to stealing money. But they steal the money and do the very same thing that the poor man in the village or on the street needs money for. He wants to buy a new house, he wants a car, he wants his children to go to school, and he's afraid of the life he will fall back to when he's out of office. Now, the people do not support them for moral reasons. When you see a thief, they know this is a thief, but I mean, I could get 5,000, I could get 3,000, and all of that. So so frankly speaking, that is just financially induced. Whatever support you think or you see in certain quarters, it's financially induced, and then to a large extent, it's ethno-religious to a large extent. Like I said, for the former EFCC boss, returned to his village with cheers of somebody that looked like a hero, something that people should have been ashamed of, but it looked as if, wow, our conqueror has returned. And he sat on the same office that on the same chair that this one is sitting on. Well, I'm just saying I don't have a problem with him as a person, but the organization itself has lost the moral ground to want to educate Nigerians, whether they support or not support corrupt politicians. We saw what they did with Yahya Bello when he became some 007 and they couldn't do anything to him. So it's just an unfortunate country where people do things and.
If we have situations like this, Mr. Yusuf, if we now have situations like this, does it mean that it is impossible to build systems that decisively deal with corruption, whether or not it is compromised by maybe the political class or government institutions?
The truth is that it's possible to deal with corruption. It's very possible to deal with corruption. And it's very difficult. Basically, there hardly is any institution in any country that is completely void of compromises here and there. But when it becomes characteristic of agencies like EFCC, basically to be unleashed on people who are not playing ball, and then to be blind to certain kinds of people, it doesn't make sense. And the EFCC itself is a symptom of the larger problem. When it is constituted, when the leader is, when the head of it is appointed by a thieving politician, when their ranks and files are filled up with thieving politicians, candidates, basically nothing is going to happen in that regard. Something revolutionary will have to happen to our institutions before they begin to function well. Otherwise, the masses will remain the masses. And the strength of the masses, as far as Nigeria is concerned, is dictated by what the so-called elites or the thieving elites basically manipulate them to become.
So what kind of revolution would you advocate? Because it's been said in some quarters that these anti-corruption agencies, EFCC, ICPC, and the likes, are not getting enough support from government to actually tackle corruption.
They have all the support they need from government. All of it. They have all the support they need from the government. It is exactly what they do with that support that undermines, their moral responsibility as empowered, by the state. Now, when I speak about something revolutionary will have to happen, it has to start from, who becomes a leader where, whether at the local level, whether at the regional level, or whether at the central level. And once that individual, I think I remember when Buhari came to power, one thing that people noticed, and unfortunately I would use the word mistake, one thing people mistook about him was that, hey, the tough guy is in town. And in a matter of a week or two, certain things started looking normal. People started fixing street lights. People stopped doing certain things. Civil servants began reporting to office early, and all of. He never said anything yet, but but people just realized that it was all campaign, and nothing happened. So everybody went back to the culture. So when I speak about revolutionary move, it will have to be somebody who is deliberate, who is willing to go against the tides. And to the best of my understanding, it has to begin with Nigerians. And I do not see any crime. I've always said it. I don't think it's a crime against any local or international law to be revolutionary in thought or in approach, even to the democratic issues in the country. And until we get to that point, basically, we will just keep going round and round and round and round. Same old story with all of our institutions.
All right, thank you so much, Zariyi Yusuf, former national coordinator, Middle Belt Patriots. It was nice talking to you on the news.
Thank you so much. Nice being here too.